It was once voted the most delicious food in the world.
Wow, this is so good.
From high-end restaurants to roadside stalls, rendang is a common find in this part of the world, across Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, and even in some parts of the Philippines.
Hi, can I get nasi with perkedel, paru balado, and cumi hitam?
Can I also get the rendang? Yes, please.
Now, rendang is really a dish for the common people. Yet, hidden within this is a backstory that's anything but simple.
I am Archie, a chef and culinary adventurer. And in this episode of Southeast Asia on a Plate, I'll be unearthing the complex story behind this delicious concoction. How is rendang closely linked to our very human yearning for travel? And what surprising role did European colonial powers play in making rendang more fiery than it originally was? Join me as I uncover the fascinating stories rendang has to tell us about this part of Southeast Asia and its people. My hometown, Jakarta. It's a treasure trove of food for thought. One of those treasures is beef rendang. It's on almost every plate along these streets. As a chef, I can only dream that one day one of my culinary inventions would have such universal appeal. It makes me curious. How was this crowd favorite created to begin with? To find out, I reach out to two prominent residents of the rendang universe. Halo, pagi Uni.
Pagi, apa kabar?
Kabar baik.
Kenalin sama Pak David.
Halo Pak. Saya dengan Archie.
Meet Reno Andam Suri, also known as the Rendang Traveler, after this international award-winning book that she wrote.
Itu kan pergi yang membuat buku ini. Membuat buku ini pergi ke kota-kota di beberapa kota di Sumatera Barat. Tapi travelingnya punya misi khusus. Misi khususnya adalah mendokumentasikan rendang.
According to Reno, the highlands of West Sumatra is the home of rendang.
Uni, gimana nih kita?
Apa nih kita nih?
Kenapa kita ada di sini hari ini?
Legend, termasuk salah satu rumah makan yang tertua di Jakarta untuk mencoba makanan Minang yang otentik ke sini.
Jadi kita tuh mulainya dulu yang pertama tuh tahun 60 itu. Jadi saya masih kecil lah gitu ya. Jadi saya waktu itu SD kelas 1 di Padang. Jadi keluarga kita pindah ke sini. Kebetulan ya orang tua saya itu dengan beberapa temannya itu mulai buka usaha rumah makan Surya. Jadi mulai itulah kita itu ya sampai sekarang bisa
Sampai sekarang ya.
Here in Jakarta, restaurants like the one we're in are known as Padang restaurants. Named after a city 1,300 kilometers away from Jakarta, Padang is the capital of the West Sumatra province. It is home to the Minangkabau people, also known as Minangs. They are the 7th largest of Indonesia's 1,340 recognized ethnic groups, and their culture is closely tied to the history of rendang.
Dia mulainya bagaimana, Pak?
Ketemunya tanpa sengaja. Masak dari gulai, kemudian mereka hangatkan lagi. Udah jadi kalio. Rendang tuh proses menihilkan air. Akhirnya dia menjadi kering, menjadi awet. Kalau udah awet, akhirnya dibawalah untuk pergi. Orang naik haji ya Pak?
Iya.
Orang naik haji itu dulu naik kapal 3 bulan.
Ya, lama sekali.
Bawa rendang buat
Rendangnya tuh di kaleng. Memang tradisinya orang Minangkabau itu suka merantau.
Ya.
Kalau kita ini dari awalnya merantau itu kan yang kita bawa itu rendang gitu.
One translation of merantau is to migrate. It means to leave the community. The idea, though, is that you leave the community to cari rezeki, to look for fortune or prosperity, to prove yourself. It can mean getting an education, it could be setting up a business, it could be working as a merchant or a trader. It's a cultural practice in which primarily men leave the Minangkabau homeland to prove themselves, to go throughout the archipelago, including Singapore and Malaysia.
Merantaunya orang-orang Minang dan kemudian mempunyai peranan penting di kota-kota baru tersebut. Jadi terbayang bahwa akhirnya rendang itu makin dikenal orang banyak.
Rendang ini kan kita kalau keliling kemana-mana itu termasuk di sini Pak, kan jual rendang juga kan?
Iya.
Nah, tapi yang ku dengar juga rendang itu makanan spesial katanya. Yang katanya ada pas nikahan, lagi upacara gitu. Jadi sebenarnya yang mana sih Pak gitu? Yang betul tuh yang mana sih?
Dua-duanya. Kalau acara-acara adat itu juga rendang itu adalah kapalo jamba atau kapalo samba. Kepalanya lauk-lauk. Kalau deretan-deretan lauk-lauk itu panjang, dia tuh ditaruhnya di ujung. Jadi benar-benar kayak kepala barisan lauk. Kayak pengangkat adat datu misalnya, atau melamar, acara lamaran, acara pernikahan, acara-acara adat lainnya, itu selalu ada rendang yang spesial juga.
It seems like rendang had a dual purpose. Besides being sustenance for long-distance travels, it is also a highlight at important Minang traditional rituals. How did rendang become so important? It's been a long time since I've seen rendang served in a traditional setting, which is why I'm heading to the home of the Minangkabau people, West Sumatra. It's lunchtime. I am at the kitchen that's reputed to serve the best rendang in Padang. And I discovered that the rendang appetite it caters to is huge.
Jadi ini berapa banyak sehari?
80 kilo.
Habis setiap hari? Wow, 80 kilo ya? Wow. And that's how much rendang people eat every day in this place alone. That's a lot.
And within these 80 kilos, there might be more to chew on than just mouthfuls of meat.
Halo Uni.
Halo, ya. Selamat siang.
Uni, barusan saya baca di depan ada tulisan filosofi rendang. Saya penasaran, pengen tahu lebih lanjut lagi artinya apa sih ini?
Jadi ada 3 unsur penting dalam membuat rendang itu. Daging, cabai, dan santan yang... Jadi kalau kita analogikan itu adalah filosofi masyarakat Minang dalam bermasyarakat. Jadi kita sebut sebagai 3 tumpu sejarangan. Jadi daging itu melambangkan nenek mama yang dituakan, yang dihormati. Kalau daging mewakili itu nenek mama karena dia tegas, kuat.
Sementara kalau cabai?
Cabai ini sebagai alim ulama karena dia pedas. Jadi alim ulama itu biasanya mereka memiliki pemikiran yang tajam, ucapan yang tegas, pedas seperti cabai sehingga kita memahami dan mematuhi dari perkataan-perkataan dari alim ulama.
Sementara kalau ini melambangkan apa
ya,
tadi?
Cadiak pandai.
Cadiak pandai.
Dia yang menyatukan seluruhnya, menyatukan semua unsur ini dengan ilmu pengetahuannya. Gitu. Dengan kalau nggak ada santan ya susah juga menyatunya. Jadi dengan adanya Cadiak pandai sebagai salah satu penopangnya, maka bisa menyatukan unsur-unsur lainnya. Kemudian 3 unsur penting ini, memang bumbu rendang ini cukup banyak dan beragam.
Bumbunya kan saya lihat Yang ini ada bawang putih, bawang merah, ini jahe, serai, terus daun jeruk, daun
Iya,
salam.
lengkuas.
Ini ketumbar sama ini apa, Un?
Saya nggak tahu persis ini kayu, tapi ini ada dijual di pasaran banyak ini. Kulit kayu
rendang
namanya,
ya?
memang salah satu bumbu. Dan itu melambangkan masyarakat dengan keberagamannya. Dan merandang ini juga dibuat secara bersama-sama dengan penuh kesabaran, ketelatenan, dan harus tenaga yang kuat. Karena ini masaknya enggak bisa 1 jam, 2
Iya,
jam, tapi
masaknya lama ya?
lama sekali untuk mendapatkan
Ya.
cita rasa yang pas begitu.
We always think of rendang as a dish, but in the Minang language, rendang comes from the word merandang, which means to cook slowly. Because traditionally, cooking rendang is painstaking and methodical. And sometimes, it takes an entire village to cook a decent pot of it. I am in the agricultural area of Tanah Datar, situated in the middle of West Sumatra. The Minangkabau people, just like their forefathers, spend their days treading through muddy rice fields during planting season. But after the rice is harvested, they will wade through the mud one final time for this. This bull race, or should I say bull run, is said to be a form of thanksgiving for a good harvest. Others say it's to showcase the quality of the herd. Because much like a sports car, bulls are a status symbol for their owners and are not used for farming anymore. Social standing aside, there are other reasons why the people here hold bovine creatures close to their heart.
The name Minangkabau, if you break it down into Minang and Kabau, means victorious buffalo. And the legend is that there was a conflict between two neighboring communities. Often in the story, the other neighboring community is Java. And they decided, instead of having a battle, instead of losing human lives, let's have a buffalo fight. And they all agree to this. And the Minangkabau people decide, instead of sending out a fierce bull to participate in the buffalo fight, they instead take a calf and they don't feed it for several days till it becomes very thirsty, very hungry. In some of the legends, they sharpen the horns. In other legends, they put knives. And then it's the day of the battle. The other community shows up with their bull, and the bull is fierce and huge, and the Minangkabau people release the small calf. And the calf, thinking that they can get food from the large bull, runs over to hopefully find milk and goes in with the horns and spears the larger bull and kills it. Therefore, victorious buffalo.
So important are bulls to the Minangkabau that the design of their homes represents the horns of the buffalo. But, aesthetics aside, these traditional homes are also said to be earthquake resistant. Their foundations are not embedded into the ground. Instead, the wooden structures are placed on a flat stone, allowing them to shift flexibly in a quake. It's a form of architecture meant to suit the geography of the Minang's homeland. West Sumatra is situated in one of Indonesia's earthquake-prone areas, sitting close to moving tectonic plates. Southeast Asia lies at the junction of 4 such plates. The shifting plates created 180 active volcanoes in the region. Close to 130 of these live volcanoes, which are part of what's known as the Pacific Ring of Fire, are in Indonesia. One of them is Mount Marapi. Despite Marapi's constant lava spills, the Minangkabau folk continue living at the foot of the mountain. To them, danger is a trade-off for the rich volcanic soil. They are mostly farmers who are always thankful for being spared with each eruption. The latest as recent as December 2023. So today, there's to be a prayer and Thanksgiving ceremony. I've been invited to attend and also observe these women preparing their beef rendang that's to be served later.
Wah, banyak juga ini yang mesti dikerjain ya. Ini saya boleh bantu-bantu?
Enggak boleh, ini khusus ibu-ibu aja di sini semuanya.
Saya chef loh ini.
Ini kan kita nggak butuh chef di sini nih.
Oh.
Ngambil kayu aja dedeknya.
I am really not used to this side of cooking. Ya, taruh sini aja. Wah. Ada. Capek juga ya.
Ya. Nah, itu udah dari ketentuan adatnya Minangkabau gitu. Jadi laki-laki khususnya ngambil kayu di hutan dan perempuan di dapur gitu.
Laki-laki jadi nggak boleh masuk dapur?
Ya nggak boleh dong.
Jadi kalau laki-laki biasanya ngapain sih?
Lebih banyaknya di luar, di lapau atau di surau.
Di surau.
Ya, saya belajar agama sama silat.
Jadi laki-laki itu belajar agama gitu, belajar silat. Perempuan ya udah di rumah aja.
Ya lebih itu apa? Lebih terjaga aja gitu kan. Kita nggak tahu hal apa yang terjadi di luar gitu.
Kasihan dong perempuan.
Ya enggak lah.
Minangkabau culture is matrilineal, and what that means essentially is that they have quite a bit of power within the society and culture. Upon marriage, you usually live in the women's household. Also, property inheritance goes through the female line and not the male line. They own the rice fields, and so you see a lot. Women are very strongly involved in the economy. In businesses, they are the primary leaders of society.
4 hours has passed since I went to collect firewood, and the only thing that has happened with the constant stirring and bubbling is that the mixture has thickened.
Oh. So this is the second stage of the rendang making process, and it's turning into a kalio. You can identify this by the color of the coconut oil. It's red in color and it's rising to the top, and the coconut fat, it turns into this very thick liquid, which is really good to eat.
The key process of cooking rendang takes several hours. From gulai, which is a thinner curry, it goes to kalio, which is a thicker form of gulai. It then continues bubbling until there's no more liquid, only drier spiced meat.
So we started from daylight, and this is already nighttime, and that's how long rendang takes. It's a long time.
But to the cooks, getting it right is a reward.
Sebelum kita mengadakan cara ya, mari kita membakar kemayan ya. Untuk itu mudah-mudahan segala arwah ya, orang tua-tua kita yang telah terlebur daripada kita, mudah-mudahan beliau selamat ya. Kalau seandainya ada beliau itu dalam kubur mendapat kehausan, ya dapat air. Kalau lapar dapat makanan, kalau panas mendapat dingin ya. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Kita yang berada di desa Pariangan ya, mudah-mudahan selamat ya dari ancaman Gunung Merapi ya. Ini itu barangkali yang dapat disampaikan. Demikian saja. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
At the end of the ceremony, the rendang, which is considered an honored food, is served. From spices to meat, Because of what the ingredients represent, it takes pride of place amongst the dishes.
This is so good. So the flavor of this rendang is so complex. It's spicy, but not too spicy. Very flavorful and full of taste. And you can really taste the effort that is made by the ibu-ibu. So good.
Historically, beef was used in rendang. But today, in the villages of West Sumatra, the rendang that is part of everyday meals depends on what lies at your doorstep.
Jadi ini kita masak apa?
Kita siang ini masak rendang pakis pensi.
Pensi itu apa sih?
Pensi itu sebenarnya kerang air tawar, kecil banget gitu loh, seperti clam gitu, dari khas Danau Maninjau.
Sementara pakis itu bahasa Inggrisnya fern ya?
Fern, tapi kita pakisnya khusus yang di sini di Maninjau kita pakai pakis yang lebih besar-besar. Nanti aku tunjukin bentuknya.
And these are the ferns that Poppy, who runs a rendang business in Lake Maninjau, is referring to. Known as fiddlehead ferns, they are commonly found growing on the banks of the lake.
Jadi yang ada aja di sekitar kita ini dikombinasikan menjadi sebuah hidangan rendang ya.
Iya Mas Archie.
Living off the abundance of Mother Nature is very much the way of life here. And it's reflected in the creative varieties of rendang made by the women here, including Poppy's mom, whom I'm about to meet.
Halo Ibu.
Mama nih teman Poppy Archie. Oh iya. Mama aku.
Halo.
Silakan Archie duduk.
Iya. Ya Bu,
sekalian makan nih masalahnya.
Sekalian ini,
ya
sekalian kita makan. Kebetulan kemarin Ibu lagi ada pesta, jadi kita buat rendang paku mempesi.
Nah yang di sebelahnya ini spesial nih, harus dicobain dulu biar tahu rasanya seperti apa. Ini khasnya kita juga ini dari Danau Maninjau.
Ini kayak rendang daging ya. Hampir mirip ini gulai cincang kambing. Iya. Tapi bukan kambing.
Bukan kambing.
Apa sih sebenarnya ini?
Nah ini sebenarnya nangka. Nah jadi di Sumatera Barat tuh kan kita ada namanya rendang nangka nih. Ya rendang nangka, jadi nangka yang direndang gitu. Filosofinya sih sebenarnya untuk penghematan juga. Karena kan nggak semuanya orang masak daging. Di Danau Maninjau ini tuh mereka kalau buat rendang nangka, kita bilangnya nggak rendang nangka, kita bilangnya cubada kicuah. Kicuah tuh maksudnya ya nangka yang membohong.
Membohongi,
gitu.
jadi
nah, cubada itu kan bahasa Minangnya untuk nangka. Kicuah tuh menipu istilahnya. Membohong. Gitu loh. Nah rendang itu nggak harus daging kan?
Ya.
Di daerah nggak mungkin hanya menunggu kapan potong kerbau atau potong sapi. Sekitar ini nangka mudah didapat. Nangka akhirnya dimodifikasi untuk menjadi rendang.
My meal with Poppy's family has made me realize how creative Minang home chefs can be in making use of local ingredients to make rendang. But as I navigate Kelok 44, a local road famous for its sharp turns, there is a twist in the tale of rendang I hadn't seen coming. One of the key ingredients that gives rendang its spicy kick may well be a lot more foreign than I thought. I am on the road from the highlands of Mount Marapi in West Sumatra, on a quest for the story of rendang. And next up, I am meeting a local historian.
Halo Prof.
Halo Archie.
Halo.
Halo.
Akhirnya ketemu juga.
Jumpa juga kita.
Iya, jumpa juga kita ya.
I am about to find out that the spicy kick I associate with rendang surprisingly has rather cosmopolitan roots. roots that reflect the region's role as a critical node in the global maritime trade of the past.
Prof, ini tempat keren banget. Tempat apa nih sebenarnya, Prof?
Ini namanya Pelabuhan Muaro Padang.
Oke. Kaitannya tempat ini dengan sejarah rendang tuh seperti apa, Prof?
Salah satu bahan rendang itu kan ada cabai. Dan cabai menurut sejarahnya itu kan terutama cabai yang kita kenal dewasa ini itu kan datang dan dibawa dari luar. Berdasarkan sumber sejarah, cabai merah yang kita kenal sekarang itu kan datang dari Amerika Selatan, ya. Dan dibawa ke Nusantara ini umumnya ya, oleh dua penguasa dunia pada masa dulu, ya, sekitar mungkin abad ke-16, ya, oleh Spanyol, masuk dari Samudra Pasifik, dan dari barat oleh Portugis. Tidak langsung ke pantai barat Sumatera, tapi mungkin ke Aceh, ke Melaka. Pelaut atau pedagang-pedagang dari pantai barat Sumatera itu membawanya ke sini. Salah satu di antara titik masuknya itu adalah ke tempat kita duduk sekarang. Iya, Spanyol dan Portugis itu kan membawa hampir semua yang mereka dapat di negeri jajahan mereka tadi. Karena ini produk baru, pedagang-pedagang Nusantara pun juga dibawa pula, diperdagangkan pula ke mana mereka berdagang. Nanti cabai ini dibawa ke daerah pedalaman. Akhirnya tumbuh, akhirnya dimanfaatkan untuk bikin rendang.
Dan rendang.
Ini memang nampaknya kecenderungan orang di dunia Melayu ini ya akan sangat responsif dan sangat menerima kalau ada produk baru yang diperkenalkan, apalagi oleh orang asing.
In hindsight, it really shouldn't come as a surprise to me that Minangkabaus of the past would take so readily to a new foreign ingredient. After all, the tradition of merantau is ingrained in their culture, a tradition that urges young people to leave their villages to seek their fortunes. In fact, I have learned that it's one of the driving forces behind rendang's popularity throughout the region, because the way rendang is originally cooked makes the meat dry enough to last for their merantau journeys.
By the time boys are becoming teenagers, they will often go and live outside the mother's household in a surau, basically an Islamic prayer hall. And in the surau, they will then study. They then will often go on a migration somewhere. And that might mean down into the Straits of Malacca, where you could find opportunity.
Which is why I have made my way to Negeri Sembilan. The Malaysian state has the world's biggest Minang diaspora, and their presence here dates back at least 2.5 centuries.
So Pak Tua, where are we right now? Because all I see is just greens.
Right. So this is Sungai Paya Lebar, one of the tributaries flowing into Sungai Rembau. So about 20 minutes from now, we're going to reach Sungai Rembau, which is the waterway for Raja Malewa and his Minangkabau entourage, who first arrived in 1773. Negeri Sembilan is really the hinterland of the Melaka Sultanate. Minangkabau male, they have been wandering mainly for trade. So when Malacca was established, they remained doing that, and they marry into local women.
The Malacca Sultanate was founded around the year 1400 by people fleeing from Temasek or Singapore. It became the premier trade center on the Straits of Malacca, and a lot of important developments occurred during that period. Connections with China through the Ming maritime voyages, increased interaction with India and China, and it became a very, very important trade state.
So Pak Tua, you mentioned before that the Minangkabau people went through this river to get to Negeri Sembilan on their merantau journey. And from what I know, they bring this with them, rendang. So I've talked to the locals and they've prepared for us this delicious rendang from Paya Lebar, which is the rendang udang galah, or the king prawn meat.
This has been a freshwater king prawns area. They would have, experimented with it and came up with this very delicious preparation.
So it's a creative way of assimilating what they already have.
Using foreign recipe at the time to suit the local produce.
Right. And local taste as well.
Yeah, taste as well.
Let's have a bite. I can't believe I'm eating rendang in the middle of this river. I'm becoming like a true Minang person back in the days. Oh my god, look at this. These large ones are very good.
Boleh nggak? Cantik.
So where are we right now, Pak?
We're somewhere in Rembau. I would say this waterway is full of history. I reckon some might have gone upriver and, found a place
to settle down.
Right? So when they arrived in Rembau, the Negeri Sembilan people were kind enough to let them set up Luak Tanah Mengandung, which is now Seri Menanti.
So you were saying that the people here gave some of their land to the Minang people. So who are those people?
So they were the earlier settlers, the Malays and the Aborigines.
It's raining now. I don't know how the Minangkabau people did it back in the days. With no motorboat and maybe sometimes without a roof on top of their head. Must have been really, really tough for them. I've lost all sense of time. It feels like I've been on this boat forever.
One of the good things that the Negeri Sembilan natives have adopted and assimilated from the Minangs is, of course, rendang.
Hello, Auntie!
Archie, here
Hi.
you are. I've been waiting for you.
Thank you so much.
Welcome to Negeri Sembilan.
Thank you.
And
Auntie Aini is keeping that culinary heritage alive. She's been serving her fiery brand of rendang at her cafe for nearly 20 years.
Archie, this is where I operate from.
She counts Gordon Ramsay as one of her customers, and she is a member of the Bidwanda clan.
So the Bidwanda people are the original people
of here.
of Negeri Sembilan. And then Minang people came from West Sumatra.
Yes. That history is long. These Indonesian, when they assimilate themselves, they marry the local girls.
Right, and then they intermarry.
And
then
his
he
children
becomes-
will be Bidwanda.
Right.
And then after that, all the culture, we follow suit. But according to our
Right, so you-
our way, our culture, our food almost the same, but it's not the same. So our rendang that makes a difference from other people's rendang is the chilli padi.
So, Auntie, why do you use chili padi instead of other chilies in the rendang?
It goes really well with all our cooking. All our houses are surrounded by chili padi. Because you have the land, you have the space. Plant it.
Right.
That's what my grandma says. You
Right.
don't plant chili padi, man, that's a bad thing.
So, this must be the beef that we're gonna cook.
It's smoked duck.
So, we're gonna make rendang out of this?
Yes.
It's my first time making a rendang out of smoked meat.
Alright.
So, that's just chili padi?
Yeah. 100% coconut cream.
Wow, it's sweet.
Time to put the duck inside.
So, let's have a go.
I'm excited.
So the smell is already very different because it's smoke.
Well, how's it?
It's very smoky. It's sweet, but without the added sugar.
Yeah.
And it's very different than what I've been having, which is Minang rendang. So I'm curious, why do you smoke the duck first?
Long time ago, we have no refrigeration. So the only way to preserve food is to smoke them, dry them.
So this method of smoking, is it truly a Bidwanda thing to do?
No, it's a Negeri Sembilan thing to do. This state, they're always odd out one. 14 state, and they're the one who always smoke the food. The reason why we select duck is duck smell is stronger than chicken. So the best way to get rid of the smell is to smoke it. Give it a little bit more depth. Is this the first time you tried smoked rendang?
Yes, first time. Because for me, rendang is, first of all, it's almost always beef. And then smoked duck rendang, something else. And then on top of it, it's made with Negeri Sembilan way. So it's like a new dish for me.
From Negeri Sembilan, rendang spread to the other states, gradually becoming a popular dish not just among Malays, but also another hybrid ethnic group. This is the Melaka River. It was once the beating heart of the port city that drew traders from all over the ancient world. Melaka was under Dutch control for more than 180 years. And before that, it was the Portuguese who colonized Melaka in 1511.
The Straits of Malacca is essentially a river that connects the Indian Ocean with the South China Sea. And if you control Malacca, you control a lot of intra-Asian trade, but also trade back to Europe. Now, these spices were the equivalent of what oil would be today for the modern economy, or even you could say microchips for modern computers. If you control the production and distribution of these products, you have a tremendous amount of power.
My quest for the story of rendang here cannot be complete without paying a visit to one other hybrid ethnic group. It traces its origins to this very port in the 15th century, before the arrival of the Portuguese.
We are the Chinese acculturated community, and therefore known as Babas and Nyonyas. Our forefathers were actually Chinese immigrants. Some believe that we were here since the Malacca Sultanate era.
Malacca, in its founding days, had to look for worthy allies, and one of these allies came in the form of the Chinese, who were also at that point in time sending the great naval expeditions out into Southeast Asia as well as in the Indian Ocean under what was called the Cheng Ho maritime expeditions. When the Ming fleet came into Malacca, there was an attempt to actually set up a long-term presence in that city, and then to be able to operate from there.
So our forefathers came here, bringing along with them their Chinese belief and religions and practices. But because they have been living here for many generations and mixing around with the local population, they began to adopt and adapt. We speak the local language, we dress like them, we eat like them.
As the Minangkabau traders from Negeri Sembilan began trading in Malacca, they brought along their much-loved rendang. As time passed, the residents of Malacca began incorporating it into their diet too.
This smells amazing. I can't wait to try it.
I would say rendang would be a typical festive dish in our home actually. We have a meal called tok panjang, or a long table full of dishes. That would be basically for happy occasions like birthdays, weddings. So we normally serve red-colored sort of dish. And rendang, the most important ingredient is the chilli, so that's why it's tinged red. So it would be a suitable dish to be served during happy occasions.
So are there any reasons why chickens are used instead of beef in Peranakan cuisine?
Well, the Peranakan people, especially the traditional Peranakans, Buddhism seems to play a very major role in their lives. Yes, for religious reasons, we do not take beef at home, and therefore we use a lot of chicken, occasionally pork.
you can really taste the Chinese influence in this dish, especially with the bunga lawang, the star anise that is very present in this dish, and also the chili oil, or like the dried chili, mixed with the coconut oil from the coconut milk. It's like a chili oil that you usually get in Chinese restaurants.
The unique Chinese-Malay mix of the Peranakans seems really familiar to what I've learned of the Minangkabau. The banquet style of serving Minang food is like the tok panjang. Then there's rendang, served on special occasions just like the Minangs. It's also cooked in a similar way, but with a different meat. In my rendang quest so far, I have seen the dish adapt to local produce, adopt foreign ingredients, and evolve with new cultures through the ages. So, what could possibly be next in the evolution of rendang? The very modern Singapore. It's the last stop of my rendang adventure. A stop first made by Minangkabau folks close to 2 centuries ago.
Minangkabaus arrived in Singapore in the 19th and 20th century when Singapore was under British colonial rule as part of the Merantau system. They would come here seeking opportunities. They would work in businesses, they would go to school, sometimes they married here and integrated into Singaporean society. There have also been important figures in Singaporean history who are Minangkabau, such as Zubir Said, who wrote the national anthem of Singapore. Also, the first president of Singapore was of Minangkabau origin, and so they have a lot of influence outside of Minangkabau.
I've discovered that rendang, brought from West Sumatra, was actually adopted and adapted by other cultures to suit their unique needs. I want to find out if the age-old process and recipes has a place among next-generation chefs like me. This is one of the newest restaurants to join the fine dining scene in Singapore. I would imagine tradition isn't on the menu.
Hello, Chef.
Oh, hello, Archie.
Hi.
How are you?
How are you?
I'm good. So we're doing contemporary Southeast Asian cuisine, and we're focusing on preserving ancient techniques. As you can see, we have pesel mortar, batu lesung,
Right.
and also fermentations. We extract the umami from the proteins, and we use that to season our dishes.
Right, so that's the ancient part. So what about the contemporary?
We rely on precise cookery. What we have here
Sous
is
vide.
the sous vide. So the meat are cooked on the dot, and it speeds up our cooking process as well. And it helps with the mouthfeel and texture as you dine. So I learned this recipe from observing my late grandmother when she does a rendang. So rendang is very important to us as a family. It's a symbol of gathering, especially for Hari Raya. And it's a communal effort, so everybody plays their part. So it's a bonding period as well. Oh, beautiful. There you go. So we're going to pound all these beautiful aromatics.
Can I do the pounding?
Yes, certainly. Yeah, put it up.
As I pounded away at the ingredients, I realized that we were missing something in the process.
I'm not seeing any spices that is going to be grinded here. So what's the deal?
I want to showcase how the Malay kampung foragers using the ingredients surrounding the compound of their house. As you can see, we have turmeric, lemongrass, galangal. So these are very accessible. This is Wagyu.
Right.
It's been brined overnight with rendang spices. It's been smoked yesterday in the Josper, and we had already cooked using the sous vide
All right, I'm going to give you a slice of this beautiful meat.
Go. Wow, this is Wagyu, tri-tip, brine, smoked, and sous vide. Definitely not common in the kampung.
True. Get our hand dirty after this.
But amidst the process of reinvention were some familiar sights.
Right, the aromatics that we pounded.
So right now this stage is what we would have called a gulai. As you can see, it's watery. We're going to add in cassava leaf. All right, Archie, we have reached the kaleo stage. And once we pass that stage, it becomes rendang. See the beautiful oil? Go, Archie, give it a try.
Excited. So refreshing.
Refreshing.
That's the one word that I would not expect coming from a rendang. A refreshing rendang.
Yeah.
It's very herbaceous. It's smoky, but very subtle. It's complex, very umami, also very citrusy. The lemongrass, the galangal, the kick of chili, flavor of the coconut. This really makes up Southeast Asia for me. It's like a celebration of Southeast Asia. One dish on a plate. What I've learned through this amazing and delicious journey of the rendang universe is that each type of rendang is a reflection of a journey of discovery, unlike what I've been on. And the need to adapt, especially when it comes to food.